Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by Springer, and their tagline is, waste of a read, literally no drama. The original OP is, I think my wife is hot, 1, posted to r/relationship advice November 30th, 2019. My, male 36, wife, female 43, thinks I couldn't be attracted to her, and therapist agreed? Background, married a little over 2 years, after dating a very short time around 3 months. We meet at a work event, and I was immediately smitten with my wife. It was like out of a movie. I saw her chatting with a group of people, and in my head, I heard, oh, there she is. She was newly divorced and took some convincing on my part, but we've been together from that night on and get along extremely well. Now, for clarity, I am extremely attracted to my wife. We may just still be in the honeymoon stage, but I've never felt this way about another woman. And because it pertains to the conversation we had today with her therapist, I would say the majority of the population would find her attractive, and not in a niche way. She is objectively attractive. I feel we are evenly matched in looks. Very few people have noticed the slight age difference. She, however, wins in personality, outgoing and charming. And she makes about 3 times as much money as I do. A couple months ago, we ran into an old ex of mine, and by ex, we literally dated for maybe a month, and never exclusive. After my wife mentioned how different they were, age, hair color, body type, etc., and it ended in a pretty heated argument. We have had 3 to 4 conversations since, all of which I was trying to convince my wife I'm not going to leave her for a woman I dated years ago. Last week, she asked if I would go to her therapist with her today, and I agreed. She's been seeing her for about 8 years for anxiety and a bout of depression that happened before we met. Today started normal enough, and I had figured why we were there, so I just jumped into it thinking the therapist would be on my side and would help me calm my wife's fears. That is not what happened. The therapist did very little talking, although their long silences and knowing glances started to piss me off right away. The thing that stood out to me the most was how my wife reiterated that she doesn't see how I would be attracted to her, and the therapist didn't even disagree. Like, I felt like a crazy person. My wife is beautiful, charming, funny. It feels like I wished her into existence. She brought up the age difference. 7 years. My looks and how quickly I wanted to get married as all reasons for why I'm basically a gold digger. First off, we both wanted to get married quickly. I asked and figured she would want a long engagement, but she didn't, so we got married. Second, I never even discussed money with her until we were married and never dreamed she made so much more than I do. She said she doesn't think I'm after her money, but enjoy the lifestyle while I'm with her, and it makes it easier to pretend I'm attracted to her. Sorry, more attracted to her, like I play it up. I'm completely blindsided and don't really want to talk to my family or friends. It's humiliated being accused of marrying someone for a lifestyle. For clarity, I moved into our house, I rent my old home, but that income just covers the mortgage and the company that manages it. All our money goes into a joint checking with automatic transfers into savings, etc. Our bills are paid from that account. I looked at our bank account and I spend significantly less than she does each month on average. After leaving, I'm in a complete panic that she's going to leave me even though I feel humiliated and love her so much. I immediately wanted to offer to sign a prenup or separate bank accounts or both, but I just froze. My wife seems so sad and I'm so frustrated. I didn't even do anything wrong. The women I've dated in my past don't have a similar type, and to be honest, I didn't really date. More like hook up for a few months then moved on. I love my wife. She is the first woman I have ever met that I have had a real partnership with. Like, we were a team. And now that's all gone. I don't feel like I have the strength to leave her. It scares me that I can't even envision a scenario where I would leave. She is my most favorite person. How do I rebuild trust when I don't feel I ever did anything to lose it? Comments by OP. I don't know why, but you saying that therapists are human made me feel a ton better. It's so weird to think of my wife as insecure. It's an odd feeling seeing someone you think so much of being so sure they're unattractive. I am so scared she's going to leave, it feels paralyzing. I left early. I think now I was having a panic attack and left and waited in the car, but I don't want to wait for the next shoe to drop. From what I remember, there was no fixes suggested, but I should ask once I calm down and collect my thoughts. How long has she not trusted my motives? I may have to see my own therapist because I'm not even close to being okay without her. I feel like I've been in a love bubble and have been missing something. This is so out of nowhere. I rambled on like an idiot for the first 15 minutes about how my wife can't get upset every time we run into a person from my past and how much we love each other. Then immediately went silent when my wife was explaining why she thought I was not really in love with her. Total was about 25 minutes before I just got up. I feel totally unprepared as I have no experience with long-term relationships. I went into this blindly and I will have to calm down and listen without panicking and go from there. I've never been so paralyzed with fear and it isn't helping anyone. Instead of feeling attacked, I need to really listen before I make any rash decisions. I guess I was annoyed at her not immediately agreeing with me, which really isn't her job. I was completely blindsided by my own expectations of how things were going to go, that when she didn't back me up, I felt immediate dread and panic and left. My first reaction is always to run, and I don't want to do that with my wife, but that's what happened. That may be why my wife asked her to be there, because she didn't know what my reaction would be. When I wrote this, I was very emotional, and this post is absolutely one-sided. I have no experience and went in with the idea that we were going to solve my wife's jealousy in a few minutes and get on with our life. I didn't have realistic expectations and panicked immediately when things didn't go my way. I've never seen a therapist, so my understanding is limited. When I wrote this, I was mad and scared, and my first reaction is to run, but I don't want to leave my wife. I just woke up to all these comments about how normal and how badly I reacted. If I want this to work, I need to talk to my wife and really listen. She was very open about her issues with anxiety and depression and would like to believe she would tell me if she had another diagnosis, but I really don't know at this point. My wife isn't impulsive in general and is very calm and easygoing about 99% of the time. Her last marriage lasted 16 years and she suspected infidelity, but it was never definitive, and has a good/fair relationship with her ex as they have 2 children together. One's an adult, one's a teen. She has a few close friends, but her main close relationships are her sisters and mother. Her father died shortly after we met. Would someone with a personality disorder be able to keep close relationships? I googled immediately after reading your comment, and it didn't seem to fit, but I could be in denial. It seems her therapist was in the wrong, and I don't think I'll be going back. However, she is a big part of my wife's life, so I don't plan on bad-mouthing her, just suggesting we see someone new. My wife in the past asked if I was fetishizing her because of how obsessed I was with her physically. At the time, I assumed it was because of her past issues with her ex-husband and having not been a new relationship for a while. But that was before we were even married, and not recently. I wonder if someone is feeding into her insecurities. I don't really care if she makes more or less money than me. I lived a comfortable life before, and nothing really has changed except for a slightly bigger house in a much better neighborhood. Not to sound like I was well off, but middle class with no kids or debt is fairly carefree. Edits to the original post, about 1 day later. Edit: my wife didn't come home last night, but I texted her this morning, first apologizing for leaving the session and then asking her to come home so we could formulate a plan. No word back yet, but I doubt she'll check her phone before lunch if she went to work. Thanks for letting me vent. I've already asked my insurance company to send a list of counselors for me to call later today. Hopefully I'll find a good fit, as I don't even know how to go about picking one. Edit 2. I need a referral from my general doctor before insurance will cover a therapist/psychologist. I have an emergency phone appointment Monday and will be seeing someone by myself. My wife didn't return my text, but did come home about an hour later. Honestly, I cried for the first time in a long time, but I was able to get across how seriously I take her concerns. I haven't mentioned anything about her therapist or my feelings about things, just apologized and asked for another chance to hear her out completely. She said she was really drained and taking a nap. I don't think she made it into work, and I'm actually looking forward to having the weekend to talk. I'm not going to ask for couples counseling until I talk to my own therapist. This is probably it, unless I fuck things up this weekend. Thanks for letting me type out my feelings and being honest. Even the hard comments were helpful. Update, December 8th, 2019, 9 days later. Despite my hyperbold title, I received a lot of feedback on my last post and thought I would thank everyone again and do an update. Talk with wife. During the last weekend, I was made aware of a lot of things I was doing to compound my wife's fear of being abandoned/used. The major thing that stuck out to me was my immaturity and unwillingness to discuss anything serious. When my wife would bring up her ex-husband, finances, in particular, I would A, make a joke, or B, try to end the conversation as soon as possible. I'm not sure why, it just made me uncomfortable and didn't see the value of discussing things that weren't a major problem. To me. I was happy and my needs were being met, so I assumed hers were too. It was my most damaging mistake. Another misunderstanding happened with my ex. In my mind, it was a quick 5-minute conversation. To my wife, it was much more. So about 6 months ago, I injured my knee running. I had been up to that point a pretty serious low-mileage runner, 5 to 10 miles 3 times a week. After the injury, my doctor suggested I try weightlifting, as I was worried about physical therapy not being enough. Well, I hired a personal trainer and have been a gym rat ever since. It's become a serious hobby, and I apparently obsessively talk about it. I have invited my wife, who occasionally does yoga, several times, and even talked about getting her a membership for Christmas, even though she showed no interest. So, when we ran into my ex and I noticed she looked significantly different, she put on about 10 pounds of muscle, I complimented her, and we talked about weightlifting for a few minutes while my wife stood to the side. My ex told me to add her on Instagram, which, while I did look her up to add her, her page was mostly advertising supplements, so I didn't end up doing it. My wife took this chance to run in as proof that I was unhappy with the way she looked, and was trying to get her to change. Add in some harsh comments from one of our coworkers about our relationship, her sister pushing for a prenup, and my lack of communication, everything came to a head these last few months. Now, my therapist. The most helpful advice was to get my own personal therapist. I kind of just picked one from a list my provider emailed me, but it seems to be going well. A lot of things were discussed, but my major takeaway was that it isn't my job to calm my wife's fears completely. Listening and being reassuring is healthy, but trying to make everyone better won't help either of us. My therapist said even if I tried, my wife's own voice in her head runs 24/7, and I could never keep up. This was hard to hear as I have definitely made some major mistakes, but besides acknowledging them and doing better, everything else is out of my control. She recommended a book called The Happiness Trap that I haven't ordered yet, but she said it would help me understand what it's like to have anxiety and may explain, not excuse, some of my wife's behavior. My therapist also said I should look into my wife's therapist as she sounds unlicensed, and if I felt comfortable, she could put in a complaint on my behalf. I will probably do this, but am letting things settle. So, after probably the worst 2 days of my life, things seem to be better. I haven't brought up a prenup because she seemed offended when my wife told me her sister brought up one as a solution. I did offer separate bank accounts, but she said no and only requested that we update her will and create one for me, as I didn't even have one. I thought it would be weird, but we both put each other as beneficiaries along with her 2 children if we both died. We only filled out the paperwork and still have to turn it into her lawyer, but it's made a difference, but I'm not sure why. I did delete my Facebook. I haven't used it for years, but when I went on, it was very single me. Lots of old girlfriends, holidays, etc. And I never even updated that I was married. I had a notification from my wife when she tried years ago, but it just sat there. My wife is still fairly active on Facebook, and I could see how that would feel awful, even though she never mentioned it. My last update was a picture of a woman that I randomly met in Hawaii during a vacation. I titled it 2 Blondes with hearts. Like, my whole page was embarrassing. I can't imagine what her family or friends thought when they found me. I was completely public and kind of a dick on there. I feel like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, but honestly, there is no other person I would ever want to try this hard for, and I'm becoming a better person for trying. It will be worth it, no matter the outcome. Things are still really shaky, and she leaves immediately after Christmas for work. This whole episode has kicked on my anxiety, but I am hopeful. Comments by OP. I agree about her needing to deal with her anxiety. I think my blame is rushing into a marriage and then refusing to deal with issues as they arose. It's hard, but I'm finally to the point where I'm going to fight for a marriage, but in the end, be willing to walk away if she isn't willing to seek a different therapist. To be fair, it was more of a, wow, you put in a ton of work, but that's not how it came out. Guessing this is in context of the ex he ran into. Someone accuses OP of spending his wife's money. I make around $110 a year and spend $50 a month on a gym membership, $450 for 8 weeks of personal training, and $20 copay for a therapist, but okay. I picked a random therapist from a list my provider gave me. One therapist. I've gone to one personal therapist. Her therapist crossed a line agreeing to do couples therapy. My therapist suggested I do a bit of research to see if she's licensed. I had a phone call with a general doctor covered by my insurance to get a referral. I'm starting to think you don't understand how HMOs work. I'm an office manager. I'm home by 6 p.m. every night and have no kids or major debt, so I vacation about twice a year. This was since before I was married. My wife oversees the sales team at the same company. Her salary plus commission dwarfs my salary, but so does her spending. She also spends about 1.5x the amount of time at work or traveling for work. Something I would trade for less money, but isn't an option. Things equal out pretty evenly as far as spending and earning. I'm not sure who's still using Facebook at this point. My wife uses it to stay in touch with family and old friends. I stopped using it once I got married. Thanks for thinking I'm good looking, I guess. I feel like I've explained why I was a dick, and then now you're just repeating them back to me. Like, I'm the reason you know this. I typed all that out. I'm trying, because even though we rushed into this marriage, I really do think we're a good match. Being honest with myself was scary, but I was amazed how much of a difference I felt after one session with a therapist. My immaturity and lack of communication was contributing to a problem I didn't even know was there. Her insecurities aren't my problem, but if I love her and want to make this work, I can work on myself and be more forgiving when she needs extra support. At the time, I didn't think my 110-pound wife would take offense, and to be fair, she buys everything she wants. It doesn't give me a ton of options. I was thinking more of something we could do together, but that's definitely not how it came across. I want to be married to my wife for the rest of my life, but if I could do it over, I would have waited at least 2 years. Comment by OP. December 20th, 2019, about 1 month after the first post and 2 weeks after the latest. Things are going good. Been using this throwaway to browse relationship subreddits. Not sure if it's helping, but feeling grateful my problems seem fixable. Trying my best, so if our marriage fails, I won't have any regrets. Update 2. July 31st, 2026. Almost 7 years later. I received a chat request this morning asking for an update. Here's how I remember things starting from where I left off. I immediately got into individual therapy, and we both joined couples therapy. I went individually for a few years, and we attended couples therapy for approximately 6 months. We both really liked our therapist, but we eventually ran out of things to discuss. The biggest takeaway from therapy was realizing what an absolute joke I had been. I was walking around with my brain literally turned off. I didn't take anything seriously, which made my wife think I couldn't be trusted. I thought everything would always work out, not even realizing she was the reason it did. Looking back, it's so embarrassing. All I had to do was start participating in our life. I'm incredibly grateful for the therapists who held me accountable and kindly told me to grow up. I wanted my wife to trust and lean on me, but I had shown no proof that I was actually capable. The issue with my wife's therapist resolved itself. I wanted to report her, but we were so fragile at the time that I thought it would look malicious. My wife started seeing her less and less, and then just never went back. I do think seeing how professional and competent our marriage therapist was, in contrast, helped that decision. I sold my old house because I was getting the feeling my wife thought it was my backup plan. I actually hated that house. I just didn't want to fail with my first homeownership. It was basically operating at a loss after taxes, repairs, and the rental company's share. My wife still works for the same company, but as a consultant. She had a minor health scare and needed a more flexible schedule. My brother started a company, and I eventually quit my job to join him in building the business. This has helped our relationship so much. Coworkers knowing our backstory didn't help with the gossiping and overall weird vibes. We never got a post-nuptial agreement, but we did write wills, which have been amended over the years. As it stands, we are each other's primary beneficiaries, and after that, everything gets split between the stepkids and a niece of ours, whom we're both close with. Money hasn't been much of an issue since therapy. We're both big savers. Trust repaired a lot of issues. As some advice, don't get married too quickly. Do discuss finances before getting married. Being married is harder than being single. The trade-off is having someone to commiserate with and to be truly known by. If your life got easier or stayed the same after marriage, check in with your partner. Comments by OP. I actually don't think she would have even considered dating me if she hadn't come off of a bad divorce. I'm so grateful things worked out, but I definitely got lucky. When we were first married, my life got infinitely easier. That should have been my first sign I wasn't contributing enough to our day-to-day life. So, it is very clear by OP's writing style between the 7 years that he has done a lot of growing. The first 2 updates are very much stream of consciousness, just writing down what he feels. It's very clear there's a lot of build-up intention within his writing with how he's actively allowing his inner voice to speak. Final post is so collected and confident, and that tells me that OP has done so much maturing. In the first update, yeah, it definitely came across as though that's kind of weird for the therapist to do that, dude. Like, that's screwed up. Like, you find her attractive, you tell her you find her attractive, and the therapist is just agreeing with your wife going, "Nuh-uh, you're in it for the money." But then OP taking the time to adjust themselves, to talk with his wife, to actually piece together that, this is not just this is just the straw on the camel's back that's very close to breaking. And by talking with his wife, by sitting down and communicating and voicing their concerns and understanding that it's going to take some time to recover from having all the straw on the back, they work together to take every straw off and to let it go and to figure out what the next best steps would be. OP's insight and introspection is wonderful. That quote, "When we were first married, my life got infinitely easier. That should have been my first sign I wasn't contributing enough to our daily life." That right there, I feel like that quote alone should be an eye-opener for a lot of people and is wonderful advice to hear, digest, and think about. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, "Satan is not a pogo stick." The original OP is Seekem, posted June 22nd, 2016. To r/relationships. I, 21 male, hurt my sister, 22 female, in a moment of madness 5 years ago. She still doesn't talk to me. Is there any hope that she'll forgive me? I'm kind of getting tired of trying. When I was 16 and her 17, we had a huge fight. I was cheating for a homework, I was paying someone to do it for me, and she told the school, and I received a huge disciplinary action. When I got home, we had a fight, and I ended up punching her in the face and kicking her stomach with my knee. It was really one of the stupidest things I did in my life. Our parents, understandably and rightfully, punished the shit out of me. They took all my shit and grounded me like forever. I deserved it. My sister never talked to me after that and moved out a few months later. I tried apologizing to her many times, and since she wasn't talking to me, I used to write her letters and swipe them under the door into her room, but none of them made any difference. Before that incident, things were pretty normal between us. We had the usual sibling fights, but we always got back together and never had major issues. She wouldn't come to eat at the table if I was there, so I always stayed in my room and always ate later, or sometimes my mom brought me something to my room. I stopped going to family gatherings, weddings, birthdays, vacations, so that she would go, because otherwise she wouldn't. When I moved out, I didn't come back home for Christmas, Thanksgiving, parents' birthdays. I always went a few days before or after when she wasn't there. I'm giving her birthday gifts through our mom, but she's not accepting them. I'm sending her letters still, not sure if she even reads them. I'm doing all I can, really. I've tried for 5 years, and she's not showing any signs that she has any interest in sorting things out with me. I don't know if I should keep going like this or not. My parents want to go to Italy this summer for a week, and they want us to come as well. I really would like to go, as I haven't had a vacation with my parents for 5 years, but I know that as things are, that means she won't come. And I don't want her to miss this chance because of what I did either. So, I'm again inclined to tell my parents that I'd rather not come and they should take my sister. I don't know how long I should keep thinking like this. Is there an end date? The other night I dreamed that my grandfather died and I ended up missing the funeral because of the same reason. How long do I need to keep making sacrifices for that moment of madness? I wish she would just punch me back 20 times over and we could move on. Anyway, rant over. Any tips for me? Do I keep doing it? What do I do for the holiday? Is there a time to stop punishing myself for what happened? Too long didn't read. I hurt my sister 5 years ago and she's still not talking to me. I'm tired of doing all I can to make things right, and I don't know if I should keep going or stop and do what I want rather than what she wants. Edit. Thanks, people. I'm gonna stop trying. I'll stop the letters and gifts. I'll keep avoiding family gatherings so she won't have to face me. I'm gonna decline this invitation for the Italy trip as well. She should go. Edit 2. I'm thinking of going away. Maybe living somewhere far away, perhaps another state. Taking a break from everything and everyone here. Maybe that's what she needs from me. To not be around anymore. Relevant comments. Deleted user. We all do asshole things from time to time. What distinguishes the good from the bad guys is how you make it right. It does sound like A, it was very bad, but B, you have gone a very long way over very many years to show genuine contrition. In my honest opinion, it is time she stopped bearing a grudge and extended an olive branch, but that is totally her decision, and you have to live with the fact that she may never, ever feel she wants to do this. You could ask your parents to ask her if she'd be prepared to meet you all together for a lunch, not a whole holiday. I'm sure they'd prefer you to get on, but again, they can only ask and suggest, not pressure. This may be unfixable. I have no idea just how badly you hurt her emotionally and physically. OP responds, parents tried talking to her without me asking, and she doesn't want to discuss it. I asked my parents to stop trying to pressure her. It has to be her decision. Last year, I was very sick and I had a couple of surgeries. She didn't visit or call. Parents were upset, but I asked them to not hold it against her. I don't know. I could have died. If that wasn't enough for her to reconsider, maybe nothing ever is. Deleted user responds, no, that sounds like her decision is final. Sometimes life is that way. We do something stupid that takes a moment, but has lifetime of repercussions. It's one of the things I hate about life. The problem is, she will never give herself a chance to see the new you, so she'll never get a chance to revise her view. You're frozen in time as a 16-year-old asshole. My significant other had a similar rumble with her bro. 12 years ago? Cut him out? Her mother pushed her endlessly to reconcile, and in the end, she cut out her mother too because mom wouldn't get it. Wouldn't take no for an answer. He has married, had kids, still nothing. And I know she will never ever forgive him, whatever happens. User Snorebaby responds to the first post from deleted user. Dude, what? OP assaulted his sister. This isn't bearing a grudge over something petty. A family member beat her up. She has every right to stay away from him. If he were a boyfriend, no one would be pushing her to forgive him. Just because OP is a sibling doesn't mean he gets a free pass. OP responds, my parents should have involved the police. It might have sucked for me back then, but I think in the long run, it would have been better for everyone. More on OP's apologies. I've been apologizing nonstop for 5 years. I may have written her more than 500 letters. Not sure what else I can do. I'm open to suggestions. Deleted user comments. You can't make a person forgive you. Sometimes actions are so harmful that a person will want nothing to do with you ever again. It sounds like that's what your sister wants, and pestering her won't make her forgive you, nor does she have to. You made your bed, now you leave her alone. OP when told to leave her alone and stop hounding her. What? How am I hounding her or not giving her space? I've literally gone out of my way to not be anywhere near her. I've missed weddings, graduations, parties, vacations because of it. If you're referring to the letters and gifts, they're given to her by our parents. In the letters, I'm not asking her to forgive me, I just tell her how sorry I am. She could not read the letters. If I don't do them, people would tell me that I'm not letting her know that I'm sorry, so how would she know? I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. Interesting. Damned if I do, damned if I don't. People would tell me that I'm not letting her know that I'm sorry, so how would she know? Guessing your parents drilled that idea into your head. Oh boy. That definitely did more damage than helping. In addition, more than 400 of it came during the first year, though, and a lot more of it in the second year. These last couple of years, I've written maybe one every couple of months. In addition, oh, here it is. Parents made me write a letter a day, sometimes more. Did the sister ever hit him? Slaps here and there, but never like I attacked her. I made a mistake, but wouldn't it be fair that I have to be the one paying for it rather than my sister? And sometimes when she hit me, I would hit her back, but those were never hard enough to cause any issues. We would laugh about them a couple of hours later. What I did to her that time was very different. So, those letters, which it sounds like it's the parents forcing him to do so, that's probably actually just making everything worse. The sister has every right to never forgive her brother, but if there was any chance of forgiveness, being reminded of what happened every single day because of constant letters being slid under your door or gifts being given no chance to heal or try to recover and being brought back to that incident every single day, that's definitely not going to help. Update, June 27th, 2016, 5 days later. I wanted to thank all of you for your comments and advice. I never expected to receive so many of them. The advice that I received varied a lot. Some of you believed I have done enough, suggested that I should stop accommodating her and do what I want while ignoring her. Some suggested that I haven't done anywhere near enough and I should do far more, and a lot in between. I've had a lot of time to think about everything, and I made my decision. I was really thinking that by reaching out to her, I was doing the right thing. I thought that the letters that I gave to my parents every couple of months would mean that I'm showing her that I'm ashamed of my actions and am really sorry. But it wasn't the case. You helped me realize the letters would be perceived as further abuse and harassment. Not only her abuser assaulted her, he's now writing to her and keeps asking for forgiveness. I thought I was ending the cycle of abuse, but in reality I was just being the typical abuser who keeps hurting people. So I decided to end them completely. She had made it clear that she wasn't interested in having to do anything with me, and I wasn't respecting her boundaries. About Italy, it was a no-brainer. Why should she miss such an opportunity? Because her abuser wants a holiday with the parents? That wasn't fair. So I told my parents that I have other commitments during the summer and I can't come. It's certainly nice to go to a vacation with my parents for the first time in 5 years, but I don't really deserve it. Maybe one day I can afford to take my parents for a vacation, but it's really wrong of me to use their resources to have fun where I'm effectively denying them to my sister. I think I was doing the right thing with family gatherings and events, so I'm going to keep doing that. Generally, I decided that it's not best for anyone if I stayed here. My sister clearly needs me to not be around. My parents love both of us, so they don't want to make the tough decision. So it's all up to me to make it now. I asked my boss if I can be transferred somewhere else, preferably a different state. I think that will be possibly in a couple of months. I told my parents that I'll get a better job and salary elsewhere, and that's why I'm leaving. I'm still going to meet my parents a couple of times a year. Either they'll come to wherever I go, or I'll come to visit, or we'll both visit halfway or something. So this isn't me cutting them out of my life, it's just me adding physical distance so that my sister can feel safer. Finally, I decided to tell all of this to my sister in a "This is the last time you'll hear from me" video. I told her all of this, wished her well, and promised that there will be no further contact. I emailed the video to her. Surprisingly, she replied to it. This was the first time I was hearing from her, and she said, "Hi, wish I could forgive you and trust you again, but I can't. Don't think I haven't tried. It's too much. I think what you're doing is for the best. I hope you find happiness away from us wherever you go, and maybe our family here can also move on in your absence. Farewell, little brother." At least now I have closure and I can move on. I hope to be a better person in the new place, and I'll do everything I can to never hurt anyone in any way ever again. It's not an easy thing to realize that I've not only been a physical abuser 5 years ago, but I've been an emotional abuser ever since. I hope to be a better person in the future. Too long didn't read, realized I was constantly harming my sister by writing letters and being present. Decided to stop and leave the place, keep distance between myself and family. Made a final video for sister which she replied to and gave me closure. I'm going to move on and start a new life for myself. I get the impression a lot of the language that OP's using in Update 1 that wasn't present in the original post was given to him by Reddit. Relevant comments, deleted 1. Jesus Christ, dude, it was one incident, when you were both kids. When I was 14 and my brother 15, he gave me a black eye. I kicked him in the balls. We're both over it within a month. We're in our late 30s now, and I just gave him a cup of my piss so he could pass a urine test for a job. Brother likes weed as much as he likes programming. My point is, your sister needs therapy. Forcing you to isolate yourself is abusive bullcrap. You can't fix her. She knows you're sorry. Go the fuck to Italy. Stop letting her control you. You were a kid. You haven't done it again. You're sorry. You're not a monster. Deleted user 2 comments. You need to send her response to your parents and get your parents to sort this mess out like they should have done as adults when this first happened, when you were children, instead of allowing you to separate yourself from your family. She's proven she just wants you out. Nothing more or nothing less. I bet they'd be shocked to know that she wants you out of their lives completely since she's taking it upon herself to speak for them. I also think you should go to Italy. Yes, you were wrong in hurting her, but siblings have done a lot worse and have been forgiven. User Lena Lelina comments, your sister's a manipulative bitch. Her response makes my blood boil. She's saying, remember that you're not part of our family. You're sacrificing yourself over nothing. Please reconsider. I know a lot of people in the original post made you feel like shit about yourself, but that's not right. OP responds, I felt like her reply meant that she tried her best but couldn't forgive me and thinks distance is best for both of us. I'm curious what others think of her reply. User Radewa comments, I am so baffled by this point. Okay, first of all, stop calling yourself an abuser, OP. You're not. You were a 16-year-old who got into a fight with his sibling. Second, just stop martyring yourself. Your sister is wrong to be doing this. She's pushing you away from your family, and she's only doing this because of her needs. Let me tell you something. As a 21-year-old immigrant with a shit ton of brothers and sisters, my teen years were lots of arguments with my siblings. There were a few physical fights, but guess what? My parents sat us down and nipped that in the bud. I am hurting for you right now because you have done everything you could. You need to find your spine and start being a part of your family again. If she gets angry, tell her you apologized and that you have tried, but you are still part of the family and you deserve to see your parents too. That has gone on for long enough, OP. For the love of God, go to Italy, go to family events, see your parents. Stop setting yourself on fire to keep your sister warm. OP responds, reading all the comments here makes me definitely reconsider everything. Edit. Okay, it seems that I wasn't seeing things clearly about my sister's reply. Some of you think she's being manipulative and abusive. I wonder if everyone agrees, and if true, should I change my decisions? I'm confused. Oh, fuck. This entire situation is way above Reddit's pay grade. This event would have happened 15 years ago, with the post being 10. What OP did was horrible, without a doubt. But the parents, with how they had OP handle the quote-unquote apology, was just adding salt to a burn wound. It was covering someone in paper cuts and pushing them into a pool of lemon juice. It comes across, at least in my eyes, that OP's parents have also not forgiven him for what he did. And that's why they are making him write so many letters and give so many gifts. I'm also left with the question and the curiosity of, did the parents really never notice that OP avoided all of the family events? Or if they just intrinsically knew why OP wasn't attending? But if they did intrinsically know why OP was attending, why did they invite both of them to Italy? And why didn't they push back when OP said that he was busy during the trip? Was the invite just a formality they inevitably knew he would decline? Which, these questions just point to the fact that there is so much under the hood of this story that we just don't know, and will probably never know. I'm very curious about what you guys are going to say and think about this post, because a lot of the times you guys do impress me with how well you handle nuanced opinions compared to that of, well, Redditors. The story feels like a box within the box, and the box inside the box is locked, and we're just left with more questions than answers at this point in time. But what do y'all think? This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, "Sane is not a pogo stick." The original OP is Mute Boyfriend. Posted October 24th, 2014 to r/relationships. My 24 male, girlfriend 21 female, of 1 year is too embarrassed to attend a family function because she cannot speak. My wonderful girlfriend of almost 1 year now was born with malformed vocal cords. Despite an attempt at surgery, she is unable to speak. I've never given a shit about that. I learned sign language, and even though it has been tough, I'm able to communicate with her. She can hear and comprehend English perfectly. She's always had self-esteem issues because of that. She's incredibly attractive, and guys approach her all the time, but turned away when they learn about her disability. We've been in an awesome relationship for a year now. I'm her first, everything. I've enjoyed every moment with her, and we're even considering moving in together. Anyway, my sister's wedding is coming up. I need a date. I obviously cannot take anybody else, but my girlfriend. But she's too scared of being rejected by my family. I keep telling her that nothing like that's going to happen, but still, she's very, very scared. Now, we've discussed about marriage and a future together, and naturally, it's time she met my family. Anything I can do to change her mind/help her? I don't want to force this on her, but eventually she'll have to meet my folks. Edit. So, apparently, my ex will also be at the wedding. And she is single. Too long didn't read. Mute girlfriend is terrified of meeting my family. Relevant comments deleted. You need to introduce your girlfriend to your family beforehand in a small, unpressured environment. This large family gathering is obviously too large for a first meeting and too much for her to deal with. Progress slowly, my friend. Don't push her if she's not comfortable. Opie responds, "We land the morning of the wedding. I absolutely do not want to push her. I totally get what a terrible social situation that this all can become. However, I do have limited options. If it's too big an event for her and too much all at once, it's alright with me. I just don't want her to feel bad about not meeting my family. That's all." User Octas comments, "That's too much pressure for a first family meeting. Can you meet them on another day beforehand? Have them visit? Schedule another visit yourself? I cannot imagine if my boyfriend had made my first encounter with his family a huge wedding with hundreds of people for me to meet. That's nuts." Opie responds, I know, but if I leave her behind, that'll make us both feel terrible. Skype works theoretically, not practically, but something like that can get very uncomfortable very soon because there's only audio and video. When you take the audio portion out of it, it feels weird. When you've met someone, you can walk around and stuff. I'm speaking purely on the basis of what happened around 3 months ago with a childhood buddy of mine. She had reason to butt out in that conversation because she wasn't the topic of conversation. Just came to the view and he said hi and she waved back. That was it. User intended result comments, "You're mistaken, and I think Skype is actually ideal for this. Skype has text messages. Let her use that to communicate with your family. This will only be awkward if you make it awkward. Be enthusiastic about your parents getting to talk to her." Update, November 1st, 2014, 8 days later. Hello, people. Thanks for your replies to your previous post. So, with all the people screaming Skype, 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 I thought that it'll be the right thing to do. I hooked up a Skype call with my sister, her fiance, and my dad. Mom wasn't going to be there. My sister was nervous, but this was better than meeting them all at once face to face. Turns out it was a pretty cool idea after all. Everything flowed smoothly. My sister and girlfriend have quite a bit in common, so they talked for a while. When their conversation stalled out, I had a chat with her fiance. He seems like a pretty nice guy. Had a long chat with Dad. You people have no idea how much this entire exercise benefited from my dad's presence. My dad's the kind of guy who always has the right words for any and every situation. He respectfully complimented my girlfriend on her looks and told me how lucky I am. This line had her grinning from ear to ear. After like 45 minutes, we said our goodbyes. My girlfriend was really happy about it all, but she still didn't want to go to the wedding, so I didn't force the matter on her. She was obviously troubled when she got the news that my ex will be there, but I told her that there is nothing to worry about. So, I'm going stag to my sister's wedding, but at least she got to know a part of my family. Too long didn't read, Skype call went fantastic, but I'm still going alone to the wedding. Final comments, deleted user. Make sure to contact your girlfriend often throughout the time you'll be there. She's uncomfortable with your ex being there, and while it's not necessary, because you're not going to do anything wrong, it's still a nice gesture to never lose contact if you can help it. OP responds, yeah, definitely, I'll keep texting her. On general principle, I'll just avoid my ex. User, oh boy, CC Wakanamaru. I'm glad that she got to know that she's part of your family. Do you and your girlfriend have any plan to meet your family soon after your sister's wedding? OP responds, my sister and her fiance are going to fly out sometime. Parents will have to wait. So for starters, it's super sweet that OP learned sign language so he could communicate with his girlfriend. That's awesome, dude. Big brownie points for you. It definitely was kind of a bit of a fumble, though, to have your girlfriend who, you know, is already probably not feeling super confident because of her disability, to then be put into a position where she's going to have to meet hundreds of people and have you play interpreter. That probably isn't a very fun thought. Also, it is actually crazy to see Skype talked about the way that it is, because that service is dead. Microsoft unfortunately gutted that software and converted it to Microsoft Teams, which is a shame because Skype used to be super recognizable, and for a time it was even competing with Discord, or Discord was competing with it, but Skype lost because Microsoft had one hell of a generational fumble. I know this post isn't about Skype, but it's just kind of it is crazy seeing it talked about with such glee and excitement considering what ended up happening to it. Alright, so real quick, of course, before I get to a weird tangent I have, gamer subs, Koda's at checkout, Christmas in July is still probably happening. Probably should double check that before saying it, but, you know, give it a shot, buy some tubs, get some free stuff. Super cool, super awesome. Code Eyes gets 10% off. Now, brain tangent I've been thinking about and it's been bugging me. So intro is the introduction to a video. Outro doesn't have an origin. Outroduction is a made-up word. So intro being the intro to a video, the in portion, created the, you know, secondary form of the word, outro, to mean the ending of a video. And it's kind of created this weird, like, phantom word that only exists as the antithesis to a shortened version of another word, which now has been this weird hunt for other words that are antonyms of other kind of shortened down, what's the word I'm looking for? Not contractions, but like abbreviation doesn't feel right because that's like what NASA or ASAP would be. I know those are acronyms, but acronyms are a form of abbreviations, and abbreviations also include things like Doctor, DR, and Mr., MR. But like the words for like finding the smaller version of the word that we commonly use. Like you're truncating it. You're like, this is what clipping is? I don't know. Anyways, what I'm saying is words that are derived as like a shortened version of another word, like intro is to introduction, that creates an antithesis or a antonym of it, that's like outro. But outro doesn't have its own initial word, like outroduction. It just exists. Because outroduction doesn't exist in a dictionary. It's just there. And we have accepted it as common term because we know what intro is, and outro, meaning, well, out. It's the out of the video, like an intro's the end of the video, so outro. I don't know, English is cool, but also it's a fucking abomination on wheels, and I both admire every part of it and hate every second of it. Thank you for coming to my off-brand TED Talk.